2020 has been a year unlike anything that we've ever seen before. Today on IO, we're going to be breaking down all the biggest stories that took place because, believe it or not, a lot happened. But first, make sure you tap that like button to show some love to the channel. And with that out of the way, I'm going to send it over to Mackenzie to start us off.
Let's start off with some crazy news that sadly hasn't been sorted out yet. The world was shocked when reports came out that Meg the Stallion was shot in the foot on July 12th at a pool party at Kylie Jenner's house, of all places. After the reports, there was speculation it might have been Tory Lanez, but no real proof. That was until August 20th, when Megan went on Instagram Live and flat out said that Tory was the one that shot her, saying that she was getting out of the car after a fight and he shot her in the foot to get her to come back. But he got away with it because at the time, she told the police that she stepped on glass instead of saying the truth. But Tory vehemently denies these claims. As of now, it's a he said, she said, with Tory pleading not guilty in court. Lanez is due back in court on January 20th of 2021, and hopefully the truth will actually come out, because a big part of the case was that witnesses were not coming forward with information on what happened. I just need more info on this. Like, this is the craziest story. She's fully saying that she was shot by Tory. He's denying. There's witnesses that know exactly what happened that will not speak out. Like, so frustrating. But next up, we have probably the biggest YouTube news of the year, and that was Bi Sister 2.0. Basically, the cancellation of Shane, Jeffree, and Tati. So buckle up because this is going to be a long one. So after the massive Bi Sister scandal took place in 2019 that almost ruined James Charles' career, Bi Sister 2.0 was kicked off around the same time in 2020, when fans wanted more answers about the whole situation. Things really started in April when Jeffree Star was a guest on the Mom's Basement podcast, and when asked about the scandal, he basically blamed the whole thing on Tati making her video. Then when asked about proof of James being a predator, he brought up that he has a voice memo that actually proves it. And obviously the entire internet was shook by that information. Then in June, Drama Channel started exposing how Jeffree was in their ears during the scandal, trying to make James look worse. Around the same time, Cameron Lester, who was friends with Shane and Jeffree at that time, exposed that they were trashing James right before Tati released her video, and hinted that the two were probably in on it. As a response to the speculation that Shane was involved in the drama, he posted a long tweet about the beauty world, why it was toxic, and why he was leaving it. But this wasn't well received, and after people started to dig up all sorts of things from Shane's past. And he had been on the internet for a long time, so trust me, there was a lot to dig up, as I'm sure you all know. Things got so bad, he was even called up by Jada Pinkett Smith for one of the incidents. On June 26th, Shane made an apology video talking about everything, but it wasn't well received either, and people felt that he didn't address enough because so much had come out. Then Tati Westbrook, who had been off the internet for months, came back on to make a 40-minute video blaming Bi Sister on Jeffree and Shane entirely, saying they were bitterly jealous of James and wanted to take him down. However, even though that video spilled tons of tea, it still didn't take the heat off Tati, and it was actually received really badly, with people angry that she took no blame for actually posting the video. As of now, Jeffree, Tati, and Shane are all laying low, but Shane has been posting a lot on Instagram stories lately, so I honestly think he's gonna be making a comeback to YouTube very early on in 2021. I'm talking maybe even January, February, so we'll have to wait and see about that. Next up, we have some just question mark news. I hate this one. Gabi DeMartino was the first influencer to be kicked off OnlyFans after she broke their terms of service and made the horrible decision to sell CP to her fans. The video was sold for $3 and she marketed it as a lewd video, writing in the caption, quote, "won't put my panties on." After this, the backlash was swift. When Gabi first addressed it, she kind of brushed it off, saying the whole thing was just an innocent video of herself and she meant no harm. But things started to get very serious very quickly, so she then posted a more sincere apology to Twitter. Gabi ended up addressing it further by making an apology video on her main channel. The 2-minute video called "This Needs to Be Addressed" was uploaded on December 3rd. In the short video, she starts off giving more context to the OnlyFans video, saying it was a sweet and innocent video that her family has enjoyed for years, and she never thought it could be taken, the way it was taken. After a brief break, she's posting again, and she even rebranded, which had mixed reactions on social media. Let me know if you've forgiven her yet. It seems like she's kind of just pushing through and trying to make it seem like the whole thing never happened, but I mean, sis, we didn't forget. It literally just happened. And of course, we couldn't make this video without some Jake Paul being controversial news. So right off the heels of Jake being charged with trespassing after he was caught looting with some friends in an Arizona mall, jaws dropped everywhere when footage showed Jake's Calabasas home being raided by the FBI, of all people. Like, that, very serious, the FBI. FBI's public affairs specialist told CNN the search was in connection with an ongoing investigation. And when footage was leaked of what was being taken in the raid, multiple firearms were seized as part of the investigation. This caused everyone to ask, why the hell are so many FBI agents raiding a YouTuber's home? Also, why does Jake Paul have like so many guns? And big ones too? And although we didn't get straight answers to anything, TMZ reported that it was in connection with his looting arrest. But that really doesn't make all that much sense to me because I wouldn't think a small looting charge would cause a raid of that size. But hey, anything's possible. It's 2020. Then next up, some huge TikTok cancellation news involving its biggest creator, Charli D'Amelio. The biggest TikTok scandal of the year was easily Charli D'Amelio losing 1 million followers on TikTok after she made a comment that made it seem like she was unhappy with her current number. The cancellation kicked off when the family uploaded a YouTube video of them having a catered dinner with James Charles. And during the dinner, the girls already rubbed people the wrong way when they were being disrespectful to their chef. Then Charli brought up the fact that her 1-year anniversary was coming up on TikTok, saying it would have been really cool to hit 100 million a year after hitting 1 million followers. And James instantly clapped back, asking if the 95 that she had wasn't enough, with her jokingly responding that she was, just kidding and she just likes even numbers. But that really rubbed people the wrong way and she started losing followers fast. Trisha Paytas also got involved, making the cancellation of the TikTokers even worse. Charli ended up losing 1 million followers from the scandal and even cried on Instagram Live talking about the whole situation. Then tons of other influencers came to her defense and she managed to hit the 100 million milestone just a few days after the, blimp in followers. Alright, that's all from me guys. Now over to Jared.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Y'all know your boy is starting out speaking about sports and science before we move on to anything else. So first things first, let's talk about the vaccine. The first known case of COVID-19 is believed to have been detected on December 1st, 2019. That being said, some think it may have started circulating as early as October, while others link a November illness to being the first case. Regardless, as we know, COVID-19 has taken the lives of nearly 2 million people, infecting just under 80 million worldwide as of this recording. People have lost jobs, their businesses, family members. No one could have seen this coming. And at a time where it looked like there was little hope, science really came through. The hard work and late nights at the lab allowed some of the world's best to come up with a vaccine to combat our pandemic. And they did so in just 9 months' time, give or take. Gotta love science. Science. And regardless of your stance on the vaccine, you gotta admit, it's pretty damn impressive that they found ways to slow the spread as quickly as they did. Science! So let's just hope that with all the vaccines out there, the people that are comfortable taking them, take them, and hopefully puts an end to this once and for all. In sports news, we got YouTube boxing. When Logan Paul and KSI first fought wearing their headgear and 12-ounce gloves back in 2019, it was a big deal, but people didn't care too much, and for good reason. It wasn't that entertaining. It seemed to be more of a sparring match than anything. So as you can imagine, when they fought in their rematch in 2020, which was a properly sanctioned boxing match with 10-ounce gloves and no headgear, well, it was much more entertaining. And these two boys went at it. In the end, KSI would win, but that wasn't the end of Logan. It was recently announced just a few weeks ago that on February 20th, 2021, Logan Paul is going to be getting into the ring with one of the best fighters of all time, Floyd Mayweather. How a YouTuber with an 0-1 professional boxing record got a fight with Floyd, who is 50-0, well, I'll never understand, but one thing is for sure, I'm excited for it. And we can't talk about one without the other, especially considering how, love him or hate him, Jake Paul has been one of the most talked about or searched names this year. Jake fought on the undercard of his Big Brother's match, defeating fellow YouTuber Anensin Gibb, and has since gone on to call out numerous fighters. Immediately after his win, he called out KSI, so naturally, everyone thought that would be the next fight. However, Jake surprised a lot of people when he announced he'd be fighting on the Mike Tyson Roy Jones Jr. undercard, which in itself is a huge story. Tyson's comeback? Are you kidding me? But the fight rules were a major letdown. Anyway, back to Jake. As we know, he would easily knock out former NBA star Nate Robinson, and that would spawn tons of memes. It would also blow Jake's ego up, considering he's now been calling out some of the best in the fight world, which includes Conor McGregor, Michael Bisping, Nate Diaz, and we can't forget Dylan Dennis, who some consider deadly on the ground. Let's just say Jake better watch who he goes after. Now we also need to talk about Jenna Marbles. One of the pioneers of the YouTube game, Jenna decided to take some time off the platform indefinitely, following the backlash she would receive from some of her older content. Jenna has since made the video private, but she addressed all of her past controversial videos, which included a time that she did blackface, made a rap song which included offensive lyrics toward the Asian community, among others, others. In Jenna's video, after apologizing for all of her past mistakes, she concluded that she'll be taking time off the platform, possibly forever, which led to some mixed reactions. Some felt that she was doing the right thing, holding herself accountable, and overall getting what she deserved, if you will. Others were incredibly upset that Marbles, who was seen as one of the least problematic content creators, was bullied off the platform she helped make what it is today. PewDiePie, among other creators, and of course her fans, were the most outspoken, shunning those who pretty much looked into people's past, brought their mistakes to light in an effort to ultimately end their career. It's unclear if Jenna will ever return, but if she does, I have no doubt it'll be welcomed with open arms from the YouTube community. We also gotta talk about Ellen here, folks. What a year it's been for the daytime talk show host, who at one point was on her way to getting cancelled, only to become America's sweetheart once again. It all seemed to have started with Nikki Tutorials, who would appear on her show after coming out as trans on her YouTube channel following a blackmail scandal, which is a story in itself if I'm being honest, guys. Although being on the show was an exciting time for Nikki, it seems following her time on the show, things weren't what she thought they'd be. After exposing Ellen for not being as nice as she initially thought, a Twitter thread from Kevin Porter asking people to share mean stories they've experienced or heard about Ellen would go viral. And then there would be the workplace harassment allegations, as well as complaints that Ellen was shooting her show remotely from home, but wasn't using her original production staff, who felt they were being left out in the dark during our pandemic, at a time where people needed money and were jobless. And to wrap the year up, Ellen would test positive for COVID. Now thankfully she's addressed all of the issues with her first show back, and it seems she's been able to save face. Now her focus is recovering from this nasty illness, and hopefully 2021 will be a kinder year to America's sweetheart. Now of course guys, before I head out, being a sports guy, there is one last thing we do need to cover. Kobe and Gigi Bryant. On January 26th, while heading to Orange County via helicopter to watch Gigi play in a basketball tournament, the pilot Arizo band encountered some fog. The experienced pilot, who flew Kobe numerous times, is believed to have tried to avoid the fog by sharply climbing up. However, a sudden left turn led to the helicopter to plummet, taking the lives of all of those aboard. The incident was officially ruled an accident, and reports claim that all those on board were killed instantly due to impact. Sources claim the helicopter was flying at a rate of 184 miles per hour and descended at a rate faster than 4,000 feet per minute. Kobe, Gigi, and Ara all lost their lives, as well as Orange Coast College baseball coach John Altobelli, his wife Carrie, and their daughter Alyssa, Christina Mauser, who coached Gigi Bryant's team alongside Kobe, Sarah Chester, and her daughter Peyton. Alyssa and Peyton were Gigi's teammates, and Kobe and his daughter Gigi were honored at a public memorial at the Staples Center on February 24th. Heading over to Brie.
This year we saw a lot of change, the biggest probably being the call for change from the Black Lives Matter movement after the death of George Floyd. George Floyd was killed by a police officer after being pinned on the ground and having his neck knelt on for nearly 8 minutes. This tragedy was felt throughout the world, especially in the Black community, as many have been fighting for years to have their voices heard and fighting back against these injustices. As a result, protests erupted across the US and around the world. Floyd's death wasn't the first to spark outrage like this, as protests for the deaths of Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, and Michael Brown had also appeared in the past, but this was deemed by some as the last straw. In the few weeks before George Floyd's death, the media had already covered the deaths of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. As a result, people from different backgrounds from all over the world banded together to fight back against these injustices and to promote equality. Though not all protests were welcomed, others ushered in change and sparked a conversation not only between peers but in places of government as well. There's still more work to be done to secure the rights and safety of Black trans people and Black women, and I really believe that we are on the right track for positive change in our world. This year we also saw the world rally around one of music's biggest icons, Britney Spears. Following her breakdown in 2008, Britney, as well as all of her assets, are now under the conservatorship of her father. Fans have since been displeased with the pop star's guardianship and believe that as a 38-year-old woman that she should be free, hence the Free Britney movement. The movement gained traction this year as details about the singer's conservatorship were released, which stated that they have control over whether or not she works and even controls how much money she spends and who she can have a relationship with. This caused some family drama since her father is the one who holds conservatorship, and Britney wanted to remove her father from that position. Her bid was denied and the two haven't spoken since, but this hasn't stopped fans from demanding Britney's freedom and have been seen protesting against her conservatorship. The presidential election was also this year, and though there was a lot of stress surrounding it, Joe Biden ended up winning and is due to be sworn in as the 46th president of the United States. But as many of you may recall, he and Trump weren't the only people running. Rapper Kanye West also threw his hat into the ring and ran for president under the birthday party. The rapper was able to secure his name on the ballot of 12 states and racked up a total of over 60,000 votes, but obviously that wasn't enough to secure a win. He ended up conceding on November 4th as the final votes were still being counted for Trump and Biden. Kanye's presidential run was an interesting one to say the least, as he went viral for some time after holding a rally in South Carolina where he spoke about gun control and abortion, among other things, which ended with him him in tears. Now, although he lost this year's election, Kanye says he has plans to run again in 2024, so maybe he'll come up with a better plan of action next time around. In other news, we saw a handful of mysterious monoliths popping up around the globe this year. After researching more about these mysterious things, I found out that there have reportedly been way more than I thought. We've covered the ones found in Utah, the UK, Romania, and California, but there are apparently more around the world, from places like Morocco to Alberta, Australia, Iran, and dozens of other places. Though there are so many of them, very little is known about these monoliths. Some people have come forward to claim responsibility for a few monoliths, but many others remain a mystery. Some think it's aliens, others think it's art, but the bottom line here is that we don't know for sure. These things just started appearing all of a sudden and no one knows why. It clearly has ties to the film 2001: A Space Odyssey, but not much else is known about them. We even saw a festive gingerbread monolith appear in San Francisco on Christmas Day, but unfortunately that one collapsed. Maybe we'll get the answer to these strange things in the new year, so be on the lookout. Now, we can't talk about monoliths without bringing up aliens. I mentioned the monolith alien theory, but this extraterrestrial talk isn't the only time we've brought up the idea of our friends from the cosmos. This year there have been new revelations, discoveries, and theories about extraterrestrial life. Other than the revelation that aliens from the self-proclaimed Galactic Federation have been working with the US and Israeli government, we've also seen declassified videos of UFOs potentially of extraterrestrial origin, and even the discovery of radio signals coming from Proxima Centauri, a neighboring star, home to planets that could potentially hold life. Now, I don't know if many people will buy into the alien theory, but if there's anything that 2020 has taught us, it's to expect the unexpected and to be prepared for anything. Scientists are always making new discoveries, so maybe all this talk about aliens could yield new concrete discoveries about other life forms that may be out there in the universe.
Our next story involves Prince Harry and Meghan Markle retiring their royal duties. At the beginning of the year, some shocking news came out of the royal palace in the UK. Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle announced that they would be stepping away from their royal duties. This was a massive shock to many citizens in the UK, as well as the Queen herself, although eventually Elizabeth was able to gather herself to release a statement of blessing for the new couple. In the statement, the Queen said, "Following many months of conversations and more recent discussions, I am pleased that together we have found a constructive and supportive way forward for my grandson and his family. Harry, Meghan, and Archie will always be much loved members of my family. I recognize the challenges they have experienced as a result of intense scrutiny over the last 2 years and support their wish for a more independent life. I want to thank them for all their dedicated work across this country, the Commonwealth, and beyond, and am particularly proud of how Meghan has so quickly become one of the family. It is my whole family's hope that today's agreement allows them to start building a happy and peaceful new life." Now, in other news in 2020, who would have thought that 2020 would become the year that we would be obsessed with tigers, and not only that, but the Tiger King himself, Joe Exotic. Joe captured and confused audiences with his wild antics while operating the GW Zoo. The Netflix crew followed him in this stunning documentary that felt more like a reality show mixed with a soap opera. Plus, there were tons of lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! The docuseries focused heavily on Joe Exotic's extremely antagonistic relationship with his nemesis, Carol Baskin. Carol is an animal rights activist who may or may not have fed her husband to the tigers. That's just a rumor, but who's to say? The show really sucked people into the lives of these wild folks who have decided to embark on a journey of collecting some of the world's most dangerous animals. Within that lifestyle, we discovered it was a cast of eccentric characters, jaw-dropping scandals, and even a three-way marriage. I won't ruin the ending for you though if you haven't watched it yet. Next up is the tumultuous relationship between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard that just spilled right over into 2020. Depp and Heard kept their relationship extremely private until they made their first appearance as a couple at the 7th annual Heaven Gala in January of 2014. Just a few days later, the couple were engaged. After getting married in 2015, their love and joy for each other though would soon be short-lived. According to Variety, Johnny Depp had suffered a hand injury while he was filming Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales in Australia, although this hand injury wasn't from any dangerous movie stunts, but rather due to an argument that he had with Miss Heard. Fast forward to 2020, and we had the big libel case between Johnny Depp and The Sun that published the original headline calling Depp a wife beater. The judge ultimately ruled in favor of the newspaper, and thus Depp was forced out of his role in Fantastic Beasts. It has certainly been a tough year for fans of Johnny Depp, but hopefully 2021 will bring him some peace. Here's hoping. Now into more tragic news. When the news first broke that Naya Rivera had gone missing, everyone feared for the worst, but didn't want to assume anything terrible had happened. Shortly after though, it was confirmed that she did indeed pass away after saving her 4-year-old son. The Ventura County Sheriff's Office said during a news conference that a body was discovered at Lake Piero and was identified as the former Glee actress. Rivera and her son had rented a pontoon boat, but a search party was sent out after the boat was overdue for its return. Authorities located her son alone and asleep on the boat. He told the rescuers that he and his mother had gone into the water to swim, but that she she did not get back on the boat with him. It was certainly difficult to try and ascertain this knowledge from a 4-year-old, but according to her son, when he got onto that boat, he looked back and watched his mother just disappear under the surface of the water. The story could have been even more tragic, but Naya, being the loving mother that she is, used the last of her strength to just save her son. I mean, with that, all I can say is rest in peace to Naya Rivera. And in even more devastating news that happened in 2020, a massive explosion in Beirut left up to 300,000 people homeless, with property damages ranging from $3 to $5 billion. The blast was sudden, and multiple camera angles showed just how devastating this was to the area. The devastating explosion in the city of Beirut could be heard as far as Cyprus, which is about 150 miles away. Following the dust settling, thousands of people gathered for a moment of silence to remember the victims of this catastrophic tragedy. The blast killed around 171 people, with around 6,000 more suffering from serious injuries. The explosion took place on August 4th, 2020 at around 11 a.m. and even though we are still 5 months removed from this, little light has been shed on what led to Lebanon's worst peacetime disaster. But that is all we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for showing us love and support this year in 2020. Again, I apologize that we didn't have enough time to cover every single big story that happened in 2020, but hopefully we got you all caught up on some of the most major events that went on. And from InformOverload, I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, wishing you all the best in 2021. And for now, stay classy, YouTube. The Netflix crew followed him in this stunning documentary. Yeah. The Netflix. It's like flicks for your neck.
Hopefully this guy welding does not annoy me too much. Hopefully I won't get, copyright strike because I'm like Ariana Grande singing, you know what I mean? That was such a bad joke, I literally it up. Alright. Am I good? Hey guys, am I good?
No.
Saying it would have been really cool to hit 100 million followers a year after hitting a million. I'm gonna say something and I was like half burping through that.
2020's been a shit year, but guess what? Your boy got jacked! Alright. I don't even know who's sending it to me. I think it's Mackenzie. Should I just say thanks? Should I just do inserts of all of them? Thanks, Bree. Thanks, Mackenzie. Thanks, Johnny. If that train up my video, bro. In other news, as you guys know, when we try to film videos here, there's always a train. Bro, my ass is itchy and I don't want to scratch it on camera. But I think the fact that I just said it, it's okay if I do, right?
I accidentally looked into a light and now there's a spot in my vision. Yay. That's it.